Hey everyone, welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host Nitin Pachisia, and joining me today is my namesake Nitin Pachisia, but much more famous, much more accomplished. Nitin is the co-founder of Unshackled Ventures. Nitin, welcome on the show.
Thanks, Nathan.
Pleasure to have you. So tell us who's Nitin.
It's a deep question. I'm a father of two, husband of a phenomenal wife. I'm an immigrant. So my character is defined by background in India and then now as a future American. Um, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an explorer, meaning when I see problems, I see opportunities. I explore solutions in them. They don't always have to be business problems or opportunities. They are. Uh, Alongside that, just I'm on a great journey here in pursuing my American dream. So I guess I'm an American dream pursuer.
Aren't we all? So tell us what you do for a living.
I run a fund called Unshackled Ventures, which I started with Mun and my business partner in 2014. We invest in immigrant-founded companies. We didn't know that we were becoming VCs. This came out of our personal experiences, having been building companies while on visas, and then realizing that there's really no resources or support structure that has been built specifically for immigrants who come to the US and who've been massively successful in the past. But they had to figure a lot of things out, not just about immigration, but kind of how they become a part of the mainstream ecosystem. And we saw that as an opportunity to solve an inefficiency in the system. It turned out the VC was the best way to offer this solution, and so we became VCs in 2014. We invest at pre-seed stage, often pre-product, pre-revenue, and we've done about 51 investments now. Very active throughout COVID, with or without COVID. We're investing if founders are founding.
That makes me think immigration is tough, it's bureaucratic, it's uncertain, and just riddled with a lot of challenges. When you combine that with entrepreneurship, which tends to have similar challenges, why do it?
So immigrants have been founding companies and been very successful. The immigration landscape changed significantly in the first decade of this century. And so, what used to take a few years to get your green card now takes 15. I'm on a calculation where I would get my green card in 165 years. I know I'm not going to live that long. And so when that shift happens, you really have to ask yourself, what can we do to make it easier for people to start companies or really just do what they want to do, right? And that was us 6 years ago, starting our companies and attorneys telling us you can't do it. So it's the energy for us really comes from really brilliant entrepreneurs who want to solve big problems and create American jobs in the process. We can play a small role in kind of helping them do it faster, right? They will be successful with or without us. We just think we're in a really fortunate situation where we can help them do it faster.
I sense a lot of modesty and humility. So let me take that and put it into perspective. What is Unshackled's impact on the US economy as of right now?
Well, we think it's what it is right now is a fraction of what it will be in the next 10 years. But I mentioned invest in 51 companies. These are companies that are solving really deep problems, whether it's about food or the future of food, the future of work, the future of work, not just in tech, but in core industries that are the foundation of the American economy. As of right now, we know that our portfolio companies have created more than 200 American jobs. Wow. We think that number is going to skyrocket as soon as one of these companies break out, because that's really the phase where it goes from, when zeros start getting added to one company's employee count. And that's going to be the fun part to talk about.
Let me ask you about this current administration's stance on immigration. How has that impacted your outlook, your investments, and your discussions with your LPs?
As far as administration's view on immigration, there's so many layers to what's bad about it, and the top aspect of that, in my opinion, is the narrative change, because right now, we don't have a clear narrative on where do we stand with respect to immigration.
Right.
Do we want people to come to the US or not come to the US, to study, to work, to start something for their own betterment?
Right.
That is creating a lot of confusion, because let's assume you, a few years ago, if you were choosing where to go to school, are you going to pick US, or are you going to pick a country that's a little more clear on what the pathway for you is once you graduate? So there's chaos from a narrative standpoint, and I think we need to take back that narrative to make it clear that immigration is good for this country and immigrants are good for this country, and they've only added positive value to the country. The short-term issues are actually much smaller, right? Visas are still getting approved. Obviously, for some people, it's adverse because they've gotten denied. But the process, the machine is running. There are changes that are happening slowly, like students, for example, are dealing with a lot of confusion right now. So there's some ground level, personal, individual level realities that we have to deal with, but it's relatively a much smaller risk from a country standpoint than the narrative shift is. We're recently talking to an entrepreneur who's a DACA recipient, and there's just a different level of fear and uncertainty around that. So at individual level, it's a much bigger chaos than it is at macro level.
I'm going to switch gears and talk about you a little more than we have in the past. Tell us one thing you regret not doing. And as a follow-up, one thing you do regret doing.
When we started, I wish I had a better emotional understanding of entrepreneurs, and I could, sorry, that's my dog in the background. She wants to be a part of this. There are times when you're pulling in opposite directions, and I wish I could sense where the emotional background that the founder was coming at, and I think we would have built an even stronger relationship. So that's one thing that I learned from that experience, and now I try to be more empathetic, more emotionally intelligent. I learned a lot from my wife and my business partner. They're both very emotionally intelligent people, and so that's the one thing where I say my regrets are I didn't grow up being emotionally intelligent, and I wish I had, because then I would have had even better relationships.
I have to ask you this. You play cricket. Are you an all-rounder, bowler, batsman?
Oh, that's easy. You're either a professional cricketer or you're an all-rounder. There's no in between.